Hey, it's Seto Kaiba, and you're watching Anime Egotists. I don't know why. These guys don't know how to duel, unless they learned from Yugi, who cheats, or maybe Joey, who's a dog. Oh, why don't you have some more jelly donuts, like Brock, and maybe you'll get better. Not. Oh, and I play my Blue Eyes White Dragon and kick your butts.
And welcome back to the Anime Egotists, where even Santa's nice enough to come to our houses.
Yeah, but he only beats me with a bat.
No,
What? Haven't you seen Violent Night?
I'm not. I'm not even going to acknowledge that. Anyways, my name's Alex, and the main character I use in Smash is Pikmin and Olimar.
Interesting. I stick with Kirby, so.
Noob.
And I'm Richard.
That's right, and we hope you guys had a great last few days with the holidays and just everything involved. And there are a lot of characters in the anime that we'd like to spend the holidays with, but the crazy thing is, not all of them are characters that we liked at first.
Exactly. A lot of characters can start out annoying or just not as a likable person, and if they grow and become something more, they become really good characters. So I love a good character arc where they go from a bad guy or an annoying character to something that's more interesting.
That's correct. And that's what we're here to talk about. The characters that at first we didn't like, but now we've started to like them. Or at least or even just a character we didn't necessarily care for, but now we like them. Just that sort of thing.
Exactly. Do you want to go first?
Alright, let's do it. My first character, Shirokusa Kachi from Osamake. Rom-com where the childhood friend won't lose.
Okay.
Okay, so apparently Kachi is a writer, and she's a very cool, like, kind of serious person. And at times she comes across as kind of mean, like a little bit earlier in the show. But down the line, she kind of shows her more vulnerable side, and it's actually kind of realistic. It's just in some cases, it does get kind of old when they're all fighting over the same guy. But at the same time, though, she grows into like a more comfortable person. She's just mean spirited enough that you roll your eyes at her, but she's not mean spirited enough that she ruins the show for anybody. But overall, I find she's cool. She can be funny sometimes. It's just very early on. I was like, you no.
Okay. It sounds like so she's not really one of the dairy kind of characters. It doesn't sound like. It sounds like
Not really, no.
she's. I mean, you said she's mean spirited, which is interesting.
She can be, but I think that's the appeal of the show. No matter who you're rooting for, everybody's a little mean spirited. To a realistic level, not to a like, oh god, you're all terrible. Just like I said, it feels realistic.
So it's one of those things like if the main character was to fall down, they'd all laugh at him, but they'd also be making sure that he's okay.
Ironic that you say that because there's an episode where the main character falls down and practically injures his arm because of her, and she immediately freaks out like, "Oh my god, I'm so sorry. Do you need anything? Do you need anything?" And it's like, "Yeah, it'll just be like this for a few episodes. We're fine." And then the season one ended, so it's still like that. But she does grow to be a caring person. It's just the very first few episodes where I'm kind of like, "I'm not gonna like you," and I'm like, "Oh wait, no, I like you. Never mind. Sorry about that."
Okay. Sounds like an interesting character, and it sounds like that. Based on your description, I think you've talked about the show a few times now.
This is only the second time.
Oh, okay. I recognize the name somewhat. I just couldn't remember how many episodes you talked about it in. But okay. I don't know the show well enough though overall to really make a decision, so I'd just co-sign.
Yeah, I think you'd like her. But overall, who's your first character?
Mayuri Kurosuchi from Bleach. So this is that one of the captains. He's the really funky looking guy with the gold teeth, and he's white and he usually has some sort of funky looking hat or headgear on. His big first fight is against Udio, the kind of rival-ish character for Ichigo. he's just when I first watched it, I'm like, oh, he's so creepy, and everybody else is from the Soul Society is kind of cool and seems like they're really good people and stuff. And he's like the only one. He's like he appears sadistic. But then as the show goes on, you start realizing that more and more of the people who are part of the 13 Court Guard Squads are more sadistic than you think and are not necessarily they want to they want to be good, but they're not necessarily would go always go through it the nicest way. There's dark aspects to every character. He's just the only one that shows it on the outside as well.
I actually respect that.
So I grew to like him more and more as the show went on. At first, I mean, when I first watched it, it was Adult Swim. It is when it was on, and it was God. It was just freaky watching him and his giant baby Zanpakuto that spews poison. You'd have to really remember the Soul Society arc, but
Okay.
yeah, most of this. The reason I didn't like him was because he would just freak me out when I was like 12 and these episodes were airing. It just the giant golden baby, and then yeah, just aspects of him weren't just freaky to me. But as I grew to know more about other characters, it's like, okay, I started understanding a bit more about him.
I'm pretty sure Giant Golden Baby was one of the Shengon Wu and Shaolin Showdown. Not that that was the name of it, but I do remember one that was like that.
I, I don't remember. I could look up his Zanpakuto, but I don't feel like I need to. I've described it pretty well. It's like it becomes if I remember correctly, it becomes a trident in its first release, and then his Bankai, it becomes a giant baby that has wings and spews poison.
Oh, I'm not saying you have to explain more. I'm just saying a Bleach Shaolin Showdown crossover would be kind of cool.
It would. Zanpakutos versus other mystical items.
Yeah,
Interesting.
basically.
Okay. But
Yeah,
yeah,
but overall, I kind of have an idea of who this character is. I do agree he's kind of freaky looking, but at the same time, whenever I saw him, I always thought in a way, he's kind of cool. I don't know. Sometimes I see scary stuff and I immediately think, oh, this guy is kind of cool. But that's just me, though.
yeah. As I said, it was more. As I said, this one's changed. Probably, I mean, I started liking him more and more when I was about 15 or 16. We were in the Arankar arcs and Fate Katakura town arc where he comes back and more of as a hero, but not necessarily like he's still him kind of his freaky self, but you've learned about the other characters at this point.
Yeah, but I can co-sign. I like him.
All right, your next one.
Psycho Mittori from The Disastrous Life of Psyche K.
Okay.
Psycho is basically the rich guy. He shows up at the end of season one, arguably kind of too late, and he kind of just starts bullying people. Well, especially Teruhashi, and trying to get her to marry him. He's not involved with a lot of good episodes. But I guess one of the things that turned me around was his sort of reluctant friendship with Nendo, which I guess says how I feel about Nendo. I don't know, because Nendo, in a way, kind of taught him early on. Just because you have money doesn't mean you have everything. And later down the line, he kind of learns, oh, dang, I actually do care about these people in some ways. Not to mention, he's just utterly pathetic. Like, his basketball skills are probably one of the funniest things later on in the season, because it's pretty abysmal to watch.
Interesting. I don't remember this character. I can remember all the other characters, or at least the majority of the original cast. I remember Nendo. I remember Teruhashi. I can't remember all the names because I remember the guy who's believes he's in like a fantasy fighting the darkness or something.
Mm-hmm.
The girl who works like multiple jobs to support her family.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's like the more I don't want to say plain, but just like the more regular girl of the series where she is kind of crazy as well. Like
Yeah.
so I can remember all of them. I remember the most normal being in the world that we both worship. It's not in there till, if I remember correctly, season 2. So
Yeah, sadly that is correct.
I remember the parents and
I'm about to say
the
I don't need
grandparents, but
I'm about to say we don't need a rundown of everybody you remember at this point.
yes, you do. No, but
No, we actually don't. But I guess the other thing for me is I don't know. He finds ways of being kind of a villain in some aspects of certain episodes, but he's also just utterly ridiculous at times. Like he's like, everybody check out my master basketball skills, and he just starts dribbling it very simply. See what I can do? See what I can do? It's just like, yeah, we all can do that. You idiot.
that took him years to master.
Yeah. And also, he really starts turning around when he finally has his first bowl of ramen, which just proves how powerful ramen is in, well, everyday life.
I could go for a good bowl. I keep meaning to try. There's a place down here, but
Dude, let me know. We can meet up and get a bowl.
but yeah, as I said, I don't really remember the character, so I'll co-sign. I know you probably showed me him multiple times. I just don't remember.
I don't know. Oh, I kind of feel like you're him, but I don't know.
I thought I was the normal guy.
You're not normal anymore. Trust me.
All right, but as I said, I'll co-sign. I just don't remember him well enough.
That's fine.
All right, so this is one that I grown to more. Well, I definitely like her more than I used to. Iris from Pokemon.
Okay. Not the Pokemon. Oddly enough, I knew it was going to be a Pokemon Black and White character. Did not think it was going to be Iris.
Yeah. When I was Black and White was first coming out, I was kind of when I got out of Pokemon, as we've discussed before, and part of the reason was that like in the first three episodes, she just keeps calling Ash a kid, in like those first three episodes that they're together. So I just didn't like that aspect, and I stopped watching. But now that I've given Black and White a chance, watched it, she has her moments, and I definitely like her more than I did. I'm a little annoyed that there's this like within like the last 20 episodes, there's like an episode where she and Ash have like their first big fight and they walk away from each other. And it just happens to be in the same direction. But it comes a little late into that. It's like this should be like part one or two, not like everything's wrapping up and we're about on like the final 20 episodes of the season. So that kind of throws a wrench, but I do like it, or I do like her now. I do think her championship aspect, at least for the show, is a little weird because in the games it makes more sense because she was a gym leader, but here you don't really get to see. It's just like, oh, I'm the champion of Unova now. Okay, how did you do that? Did you become the gym leader, then challenge again? Or how'd you do this?
I'm
No
not going to
word.
beat the Pokemon Chronicles horse into the ground, but Pokemon Chronicles.
Yep, this would be a perfect opportunity to show how she went from attempting to become a Dragon Master to I'm champion of Unova. But I do still like her character. It does get better as Black and White goes on.
I do agree. As somebody who, I'm going to be honest, I did not like Iris at first. I still gave her more of a chance, but I do. Here's the thing. I've said before, and seemingly you and Jay don't seem to understand what I mean by this, so I'm going to try and explain this one last time. Iris goes through a lot of character development. She gets better from the first episode she's in to, I guess the most recent episode she's been in. She's a good character. I'd even say a great character. I still find her annoying at times. That just happens. I still would say I like this character more than I dislike them, but at the same time, I'm still like, you really had to say that, huh?
Yeah, as I said, that I think that's kind of where I'm getting to in the mindset of her. It's like what she said, called Ash a kid in Journeys. They've changed the inflection from when she kept saying it in black and white, especially at the start where she's actually making fun of him there. Here she's kind of saying as a term of endearment. She's like, "Oh yeah, you're a kid."
Yeah, well, the worst part is at the whole Black and White series, she's kind of The worst part is she's kind of proven right with how Ash kind of acts in the series, so I don't completely blame her for that.
Yeah, but as I said, it's kind of a not a love hate, but a love. She's sometimes annoying.
Yeah, exactly. And even if you didn't like Iris, I would not jump on you say, "Oh, you just don't like her because she's black," because based on everything you're telling me, that would have nothing to do with it. But people are crazy.
Yeah, I as I said, I just didn't like her because I think I was more disappointed that Ash had declined so much, like in those first few episodes of Black and White from the end of Diamond and Pearl. That it's like, well, there goes all his growth. I'm out,
How would you
and
have felt? Sorry, how would you have felt if Iris went for the gym battles instead of Ash in Black and White?
could have been interesting. I don't know what they would have done with Ash at that point, but I think that might have made Iris. It would have made at least her becoming champion a bit more like, okay, I can see her becoming champion now.
Yeah. We're gonna have to talk about more about Pokemon Champions when we start doing those game protagonist videos again, because things are gonna get interesting.
All right, but your
Okay,
next one,
yeah, but Ayako sign didn't like Iris at first. Now I thoroughly enjoy her. But my next character, Leo from Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds.
okay,
Okay, so Leo and Luna, they're basically twins, and Leo's, I think he's the older one. I don't even think it matters. But he kind of just starts off as really obnoxious. Like, he wants to be a turbo duelist, like Jack, and he grows to look up to Yusei and all the others. And the whole time with his first duel with Yusei, he's narrating the duel itself, like he's kind of like Black Star would be doing. He's like, oh, the impressive Leo puts down a face down, or something like that. And the crowd goes wild. It gets annoying super quick. And we also learn he wants to be a signer, like Yusei and everybody else. But we learn it's mainly because he just wants to be a hero because he thinks like superheroes are cool and everything. But as I watched more and more, I realized there is a sense of like he feels left out. Like he's not a signer. He's not really a hero at first. It could be implied that he wants to fit in with all his heroes and his friends. Not to mention, as the series progresses, he's always like, "Hey, nobody messes with my sister," and he always stands up for her, and it's nice to see. He gets a little more mature as the series progresses, and his deck is a lot of fun to see in action. Overall, I hated him at first. Now I'm like, if anything happens to this kid, you guys got him. Good luck.
okay. I know how to put it. I know enough about Leo to know who you're talking about and kind of get where you're coming from. I do like a story where that has growth. I I think a good example would be Max kind of goes through the same thing in Pokemon.
Exactly.
He definitely starts out as a know-it-all. He doesn't necessarily lose all those traits, but he definitely improves and he learns kind of to stand up for May, even though she's the older sibling. So there's I can kind of see where you're coming from. I can co-sign. I think he'd be an interesting character to watch.
Yeah. The only thing he kind of does suffer towards the end, like every other Yu-Gi-Oh character who's not the main character. But I link with you this way: even if he fails in some aspect, I don't think he regresses. Which I think if you're going to fail in the final battle or fail at your last step, as long as you're still the character you've developed into being, I can give it a pass. So I don't
Mm-hmm.
know.
Okay, yeah. As I said, I'll co-sign it. He, he sounds interesting. At least he sounds like he grows instead of staying stagnant, which a lot of characters in Yu-Gi-Oh, if you're not part of like the major characters for the season, do. Like
Yeah.
I'm thinking like Tristan and Taya don't change throughout the entire series. Joey grows, Kaiba grows, Yugi grows, but other than that, like everybody else stays exactly where they were at the start of the series.
Well, considering there's a time skip and he becomes a teenager, Leo literally grows, so that also
Huh.
helps.
I didn't even know there was a time skip in the. Oh, at the is it at the end of the series when
Yes, it
they're
is, but it still
okay?
counts as a time skip.
Okay, all right. as I said, I'll co-sign. I think he'd be an interesting character to follow.
All right,
All right, so my next one,
go for it.
Akira Hayama from Food Wars. So I talked about him as like one of the better rivalries, I believe, where it's a three-way rivalry with him, Soma, and I believe his name is Ren. I can't remember. I did. But he's a weird character because he starts out as kind of this rival know-it-all when it comes to spices. That's kind of his expertise in the kitchen. Uh it's kind of implied that he was found in the Middle East or India kind of area by one of the professors when they were studying abroad, and uh realized that he could with his sense of smell he could become like one of the best chefs in the world, so brought him back to the school. And um the reason I didn't like him was actually more towards like the middle slash end of the series. He betrays everybody. He's portrayed as I said, like a know-it-all. He's thinking he knows what's best. So he teams up with what's called Central, where they're supposed to change it from creative cooking to everybody cooks the exact same, and you have to be all that. And the whole reason he's doing it is to save the teacher who took him from the slums of the country he was from and brought him here to learn to be a chef. So he has a good motivation, but you'd think that he would have that he kind of had budding friendships with multiple of the side characters, and now he's working completely against them uh to end the day. It just doesn't feel right with him. I wish that they had delved more into his reasoning. If they had probably done that, he would have been fine throughout. He kind of discovers the error of his ways and uh still has that nice rivalry, and I feel for him a bit more as I've looked back on it. So that's kind of where I've gone from I really don't like what you've done with his character to he's okay. He's is kind of where I'm at with him right now.
It sucks that sometimes that's the best you can do. Like, I'm okay. Like, I can live with this. Not, oh, you think this is really good? I'm like, I can live with this. I can live with this decision that you've made.
Yeah, I just said I hope I know that there's like a couple of like side stories that are told at the end, and I know he sees the error of his ways and all that, but it's like, why didn't you come speak with the people who beat Central already and saved their section of the school already? Like, why not? Why are you betraying them completely now?
What, and ruin the plot?
They had like 8 other characters that they could have used as the big bad part of this story, but they did.
Hey, don't look at me. I didn't write this.
So, but yeah, as I said, I'm slowly coming back around to liking him. I'm hoping that maybe if I rewatch the series again, I might like the story a bit better. I just don't know at this point. And this part of the story, I really like the story overall.
Yeah, and I can co-sign because I haven't seen Food Wars yet. Possibly ever, but also maybe just not yet.
Well, if you watch the censored version, it's only like half the amount of time as everything else.
Good lord. It's not, like I said, it's not even that. I watch that show and I feel tortured because I get hungry.
You can always look up recipes. I've looked at a few.
No, trust. There are a couple of anime recipes that I'm looking to try. I just want to wait for people to get out of the kitchen because I hate people being in the kitchen with me while I'm cooking.
Okay,
Yeah, but I can co-sign. My next one?
go right ahead.
All right. These next several characters are characters I feel like we can both talk about, so I'm happy about that.
Okay.
Makoto Nijima from Persona 5.
Okay.
I hated this girl so much. And to be fair, they did it perfectly because Makoto's the student council president, and she's basically being told, hey, all these incidents going around the school, keep an eye on them. And also, if any of the phantom thieves or go to our school, pay attention to that. And she kind of I don't want to say she bullies the Phantom Thieves, but she's kind of just annoying them at point. And to the point, it's like, oh well, you guys hanging out all of a sudden. It seems kind of weird. You guys have never hung out before, and she's very kind of uppity very early on.
Hmm.
And then An says, well, maybe if you were doing your job properly, none of what happened to Shiho would have happened, or the rest of the students. And she backs up a bit, because Makoto's life kind of sucks. Her sisters straight up called her useless at one point. Her dad died. I don't recall. I have no idea. I don't even recall if they said anything about her mom or whatever. But she basically just feels like the perfect student. And trust me, there is pressure that comes with that. But she
Mhm.
realizes more and more that she needs to rebel. She joins the Phantom Thieves and gets an awesome bike, and we also learn that she's like completely terrifying. But overall, I don't know. I went from hating her to her being one of my favorite characters. It's like it's always seemingly a three-way tie.
I can see that. Yeah, I remember when they kind of when she discovers that okay, y'all are the Phantom Thieves, or I'm 99% sure y'all are the Phantom Thieves, and they do, and On and her have that kind of conversation about, well, if you did your job right, I'm like, okay, yeah, I remember seeing her in a few scenes before now where she's kind of being forced to not really look into anything because of uh well, he's the Olympic athlete who's come here to save our school's volleyball team and stuff like that. So I can see that. I don't know. She feels, at least from the anime perspective, she feels a little less developed than some of the others. But I think that's because they have to rush so much.
If anything, I feel like, if anything, I kind of maybe it's because I played the game. I feel like it's the opposite. I feel like she's one of the most developed characters.
Hmm. I mean, I guess how to put it.
I
If I
will give
compare,
you this. I will give you this though, if this kind of helps you say what you're trying to say. The story. There are two kind of stories with her going on, at least from the games. After that, one of the stories is kind of she didn't really get to have a whole lot of fun, or she's trying to learn new experiences because she was so stuck being a model student. And that's the story to me that's kind of interesting that I want to follow up on, especially since she tells On, I'm sorry, I could have helped Shiho, and I like their friendship too. On the other hand, there's also that story of, hey, Ren, can you practice being my boyfriend for this scenario? That I don't like that. But I felt like that stalled her development more than anything.
okay, thinking back on, I was trying to think of like what happened with her and all that. Now thinking back on it, yeah, she does get a good bit of development. It's just because it's a 100-hour plus game in forced into 23 episodes and two 1 hour specials. It's everything feels rushed. So I think if I played more of the game and knew her story through the game more, I'd probably like her character more and understand every aspect of it. I know she's got that model student. I remember them going to like the arcade and then playing video games to uh, just because she wants to go to an arcade randomly.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, I'm trying to protect you at this point because as much as I love her, her fan base is y'all are toxic. As somebody who is a fan of this character, it's a toxic fan base, and I kind of hate it.
As I said, I need to play the game. I've got a lot going on that I just don't have time to download to play that game right now. And dedicate the time needed to get through it.
No, I understand that.
All right. So my next one.
Yeah.
All right. So I've got one that I think we'll be able to talk about together as well. Mr. Satan from Dragon Ball Z.
Okay.
So specifically, I really didn't like him in the Cell Saga. He just kind of felt like thrown in there. He's obviously weaker than everybody else here. But he actually kind of grows it during the Boo arc, which I really like, and in his own right has become a Z fighter despite not being one of the main fighters, he's more of the like or the face of the Z fighters without to the world. He's the one that they know that saved the day, all that sort of stuff. I think really fits his character of kind of the almost pro wrestler aspect of his character.
He's also one of the few characters to never have died.
Mm. And he's actually a halfway decent father, from what I can tell. He
Yeah,
does.
we never learned who Vidal's mom is, though.
Maybe we'll eventually find out in Dragon Ball Super when it eventually comes back in 2050.
I mean, I don't need to know. That's one of the
Mhm.
few things I feel like I really don't need to know, but go on.
Yeah, but he's, as I said, in the Cell Saga specifically, he feels like he's shoehorned in as comic relief, and that's kind of what he is, and he remains that. But I really love his Boo Saga arc where he befriends Boo and sees that Majin Buu is not necessarily doesn't necessarily have to be a monster. He can be find love with that dog and all that. And
Which he did within the span of maybe 20 minutes. He met Boo, befriended Boo, and said, "Hey, please stop hurting people because it's wrong." Oh, okay.
then, as I said, he helps fund stuff for them. I mean, it's still mostly Bulma who pays for everything, but he's kind of becomes the face. I mean, he has the big where he starts doing all the talking for the Kid Buu destruction part and all that. So he proves that he can be brave when he wants to be.
It's still that stupid cliche of, "Hey, everybody, we need power." Oh, well, we're not going to give it to you like that. I'm like, you know what, Goku, just let these people die. I hate citizens in the anime, but I can agree. I don't think I will ever love Hercule, well, but I do find a little bit of charm to him. I don't think I've ever hated him. He
Do,
shows up exactly for what he needs to be.
do you kind of agree that in the first when he's first introduced in Cell, that's his worst, and then
Oh, absolutely. Oh,
he has
absolutely.
improved?
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
that's kind of where my mindset came from for picking him.
Yeah, no,
Was
no, I can agree with that though.
yeah, but yeah, that's about it. I like him now because they don't overuse him. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's basically what I mean. Yeah, I can co-sign.
All right, honorable
Honorable
mentions, huh?
mentions. Yep, honorable mentions. All right, so you picked a Pokemon character, so I wanted to go with mine. Hey, we've talked about her before, but I really we need to do that video of Pokemon characters we actually like because one, we've been teasing it for a while, and two, the last video doesn't hold up well because we both screwed up with a character.
I'll have to go back and watch it if it's still on YouTube.
It's still on YouTube, but you do not need to go back and watch it. And that character from Pokemon Diamond and Pearl is Ursula.
Okay.
Please tell me you remember her at this point.
She's the more rude of the of Dawn's rivals.
Exactly. Here's the thing. I found her when I first started watching Diamond and Pearl all the way through. I hated her. I thought, well, she doesn't win a single battle. Why should I care about this person? I find her super annoying. And this is what I was at a time where I loved Diamond and Pearl, and I still do. But as I got older, I kind of started to see one of my bigger issues with Diamond and Pearl is it felt kind of boring at times, and I felt let me put it this way. I found that less jokes were being told, but in a bad way. I was like, huh. I feel like I should be laughing, but I don't really get that. But when I started rewatching Pokemon and Ursula showed up, I'm like, this girl is hilarious. I still don't think that's completely why I like her, and I've talked about that. But I don't know. I feel like she injected some much needed humor into the show. I found myself liking her more and more.
I'm trying to remember. She's as I said, she is the rude kind of rival for Dawn. She's very snarky, if I remember correctly. Is
That is
that
correct.
yeah? And based on, I have a vague recollection. She's also kind of mean to Jesse or as Jezebel a lot of the time. If I remember when they meet up.
I remember that much about her, but there's a good to fair chance that is true.
Okay, I'd have to go back and watch several episodes. I should. I need to go back and watch the actual Wallace Cup to prepare for a possible video on that.
That would be correct. But like I said, I still don't completely know why I like her, besides the fact I find her funny. But overall, she was one of the lesser boring rivals. And I know I shouldn't love. I complained before about people not winning battles on screen, but I still found her entertaining. And like I said, I don't completely know why that is.
Yeah, I think that if I remember correctly, there's a few too many rivals in Diamond and Pearl when it comes to Dawn specifically. At least they're just being this is what there's her, Zoe,
Nando,
oh god, I forget the
Jesse, Kenny, technically May that one time, but
and they all I mean they start overlapping in different forms of rivalry. Like Zoe's the friendly rival who always pushes her. Uh, Nando, I think, has kind of the same vibe, except for he's starting later than Dawn.
and he also is technically Ash's rival too because he's doing both.
Yeah, and then Kenny's kind of a jerk as well to her, so it's like so that gets mixed in with Ursula now. And it's like, oh god,
We could have just kept Kenny out of the whole series and nothing would have changed.
yeah. As I said, I'll co-sign. I think I remember not liking Kenny, like at all. Like he's probably my least of favorite rival right now
Oh,
of
absolutely.
the in the entire series, from what I remember.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I can agree with that. And the sooner we get on, like we talked about before, the Lucas Ursula fan fiction, the more subscribers we'll get. So we should probably jump on that.
Oh God! All right, my first honorable mention.
Sure, go for it.
So I've talked about not liking this character, I think, before, and that's Usopp from One Piece.
Hmm.
I have grown to like him more as the series goes on. I really think his character kind of starts turning around at the Water 7 arc with the whole him leaving the crew because they're going to leave the Going Merry. I don't think he reaches a point where I really like him until probably after the time skip where he's willing to fight. He at this point he's still scared out of most things, but he's still willing to fight at this point instead of run away all the time. I mean, that was like 99% of his character was seemed like he was always running away from a fight in the first half, and that
Yeah,
just didn't work.
that's definitely true.
Yeah, so I like that he's kind of grown to the point where, and he shows what legit happens. It's not that he's not afraid anymore. It's that he realizes that he can't always run away from a fight, even if he wants to. And now he's strong enough to put up a fight with other people who, even I guess 2 years ago, he would have been absolutely slaughtered by.
That's a nice, charming way of putting it. But yeah, I can definitely agree. The first little bit, I like I said, I was not into Usopp, but he did. I think he grew a little bit faster on me over time, just because I found him funny. But at the same time, though, I felt like he was more or less kept in check. Like somebody was around to smack him every now and then, which to me, oddly enough, makes a character more endearing.
Okay, I can see that. That's for sure.
Also,
Um,
despite not being a huge focal point compared to other characters, I love his friendship with Luffy.
mhm. He's the he's got the same energy level as Luffy, but the exact opposite personality of where Luffy wants to see and do anything, like willing to even jump in the water, even though he can't swim. Usopp's the one that'll like pull him back up because he doesn't want Luffy to drown.
I love to think that somebody would be thinking, "Oh, so which one of them's the smart one?" I'm like, "Oh, well, I guess Usopp technically, but it's not like a huge margin depending on what we're talking about."
Exactly. If it's mechanical, then Usopp's an absolute genius. But if he's like trying to figure out society or something, I don't think either of them are the ones he'd go with.
I would love to go to a philosophy class taught by one of them. I think it would be amazing.
Yeah, it probably would.
Yeah, but I can agree. Usopp, like I said, I think I grew to like Usopp a little faster than you did, and that I know for a fact that Jay hates Usopp, and he's wrong because Usopp's cool.
I did not know Jay hated Usopp, but he's not on most of our regular videos. He's
I'm
on
not
most
even
of our
sure if he's
Pokemon.
20 episodes into One Piece, but he'll keep rewatching Yu Yu Hakusho. Oh, like it's better, but okay, whatever.
Your next honorable mention?
All right. This girl is an honorable mention because I don't think I ever hated her. I think it's just a matter of I never really cared for her until like my more recent rewatches of Yu-Gi-Oh! And that's Serenity Wheeler, Joey's sister.
Okay.
I just found myself not really caring about this girl in general, but upon my rewatches, I'm like, she's not necessarily useful in the sense of she needs to be in the story, but I don't know. I just grew to like that she always had faith in Joey, especially the one time when they were on the blimp and the wind was blowing and Joey almost dropped all of his cards, and she's like, "You can do it, Joey." I'm like, Serenity, this is really the person you want to put all of your eggs in this basket? Okay, but I don't know. I think I just grew to like her caring personality. And did she do a whole lot? No, not necessarily. But I still found myself liking her more as I got older. I guess I just realized, well, half the characters in this show don't do anything. That doesn't mean I have to hate them.
I can understand that. I know in the first kind of two seasons, I really kind of enjoyed. Well, I don't know if she's not really a character in the first season, unfortunately. But she's definitely gives Joey a good meaning and makes you really care about Joey. It's like you can see his caring. Like him taking her to the beach when they're kids to because he wants her to see the beach before she can't see anymore. Then it gives like, oh, that prize money could save the day. So he wants to enter the tournament to get the prize money, not for himself, but for his little sister. It's like,
Yeah, and keep in mind, she saved his life after he and Yugi dueled.
mhm. Which I think I always liked her from that moment. It's like, you see that this is like a good sibling relationship. They are willing to do whatever it takes to save each other.
Yeah. That being said, it doesn't really help that Duke and Tristan are always trying to hit on her. That kind of that never sat well with me. At the same time, though, I still like her. I still think she's cool.
Yeah, it's and I kind of remember it's one of the worst arcs, but it's the Noah arc, and they
That's that's such a conflicting arc for me. But go ahead.
yeah, they're and I think it's Tristan and Duke are having to teach her in the middle of a duel how to duel.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's just like what? Okay,
Yeah.
why?
Especially since neither of them are very good duelists.
Yeah, that is for sure.
Yeah, and they just keep hitting on, despite the fact that she's like, I'm not really, I don't know. Hilariously, in the video game, she seems more interested in your character than she does them.
That's probably true. That she's like, I know they're hitting on me, but they're my brother's friends. I don't want to date them.
And she's just like, please do your best for Joey. And I'm like, yes, ma'am.
All right, but yeah, as I said, I'll completely co-sign with Serenity. I can understand not really liking her because she doesn't have much to do, especially when you're a kid. You just don't really. I don't know. You might not understand the whole thing, but then upon rewatches, you understand a bit more about where she sits.
Yeah, forget this emotional complexity. Let's get back to the card games that last 6 episodes too long.
Because I've been drawing cards to get the one card I need to win.
Yeah, some of those duels do not hold up. Just because a battle's longer doesn't mean it's better, but let's move on.
All right. So this is another one I think we can both talk about. We both talked about, I believe it was on characters everybody else hates, but we don't we like Sakura from Naruto.
You keep bringing up Sakura, I swear.
I can understand, and as a kid, I didn't really like her. She was definitely the most boring of kind of the main cast, and like her big moments of when we were kids was cutting her hair. So it's like, okay, yeah, no, this is boring. I don't really care. But I think in Shippuden, when she's developed her like the same strength as Tsunade and has become like at this point the number two or close to the number one healer in the entire world in that short span, she's given more things to do. I think as she grows as a character, which is relatively nice. I know a lot of people still hate her, but
Well, she also kind of has some moments where she falls off. Like you're talking about her good moments, but let's not forget the whole oh she wouldn't kill Sasuke. She told Naruto that she loved him even though she clearly didn't. And you're leaving out a couple of details in that regard.
yeah, I'm not saying that she's a perfect character, but I think she definitely grows more as the series goes on and does develop as a character that people don't give her credit for a lot of times. People just say, oh, she's a bad character and leave it at that.
I will give her credit for something that people don't always do. I like that as the series progresses, she gets nicer to Rock Lee because she did not start off nice to him.
Yeah, it was kind of because of that first meeting, she was freaked out by him because she knew he had a crush on her.
Yeah, but as he like saved her life, like right from that point on, she's like, this guy is my friend. Now, in some aspects, I still argue that maybe they could have been the ones to get together, but like, I just they don't know.
As I said, it's just an honorable mention. She's definitely has her flaws, as you pointed out, but I do think she's improved as the series went on, and I liked her more as I got older.
I feel like she's improved, but at the same time, I kind of feel like she's one of those characters I both like and dislike at the same time. I don't feel like I'll ever have a clear answer.
I can understand that.
All right. So, my next one, my last honorable mention,
Go right ahead.
Charlotte Rosalie from Black Clover.
Okay.
You okay? So she's one of the captains of one of the Magic Knight squad, and she's very much as. I don't want to keep bringing up that we've done videos on anime cliches, but since I've never talked about this one, it doesn't feel so bad. She's basically the cliche of I have to prove that I'm a strong woman, so I have to hate every man in existence, and the rest of her squad's kind of like that, and it's kind of horrible. Well, and I'll talk about that, I guess, a little more in my final character. But sure, her powers are really cool, and we learned that kind of the reason she's like that is because very early on there was a curse on her, and nobody was able to help her for the longest time until Yami showed up and basically saved her. I still don't love the attitude she has early on, and it still kind of seems like she has it at times, but at the same time, though, I do find her funny when she tells Yami, why are you sitting on the ground like that, you pathetic man? Are you hurt? And Yami just says, oh, no, I'm not hurt. The ground just loves my ass so much it refused to let it go. I like their fun dynamic with each other, especially since her crush on him is hilarious to me, especially when she's like, "Oh, how could the ground ever love a man?" And like you, and they keep bickering, and on the inside, you can hear her voice go like, "Why can't I just tell him how I feel?" Oh, I'm like, she's funny enough that a lot of her cliches make me like her.
I have a feeling that it's the series is going to end with her and Yami getting together, and he's going to be like, "Yeah, I've known you had a crush on me. I just had to wait for you to actually tell me that you liked me."
That would be great. At the same time, though, I don't knowing Yami, I don't know if I believe it.
But yeah, Yami would be the one character. It's like you wouldn't expect him to notice, and yet he would be the one to notice.
I would, yeah, in a sense, yeah. I especially love that she finally does tell her squad, "Hey, I have a crush on Yami," because she's worried. It's like, "Oh, you like a man? What's gonna happen there?" But they're all like, "Oh, thank God, I've had a boyfriend this whole time, and I just didn't want to say anything." And I'm like, "You are all idiots. You are all so stupid." Which I would never tell them to their face because, like, she's terrifying.
I need to go back and finish watching from where I left off. I reached a good stopping point, as I've talked about before, after the first Hot Springs episodes where they climb the mountain and all that. So I need to catch up from there.
Yeah,
And
I find her funny, but you can understand why at first I'm like, oh great, oh great. Hey, we have plenty of strong female characters already. We don't need the man hater. No, no, thank you.
Yeah, and I also like her relationship with Noelle and
Yeah,
the hot spring episode where she talks about like she talks to her as more of an equal than I think anyone else. Or is that actually no, that's the fire lady. I
that's Mara
forgot.
Leona.
That's right.
I
Never
would have.
mind.
I almost thought about saying I didn't like her at first, but I'm once again I'm way too scared of her. I'm way too scared to say anything.
uh, she fits the right bill though for her position of I'm not even a magic knight, and yet I've taken over as captain of this squad.
Would you tell her no, get out?
No, no, I don't think I could.
No. Oh, but yeah, Charlotte. It started off kind of rough, but I really grew to like her. And in some cases, I'm kind of rooting for her to get with Yami, even if it takes like 100 years, knowing how long it takes Yami to figure this stuff out.
All right. My last honorable mention.
Go for it.
So this one is Loki slash Leo from Fairy Tale. So
I think I know who this is.
yeah, at the start of the character, he's literally portrayed as a playboy kind of character. He has multiple girls fawning all over him, and but yeah, he's scared of Lucy, the main girl for the series, because of her magic. And I think we get through like 3 or 4 arcs before we really find out why. And that's because he is actually the celestial spirit, which is what Lucy summons, and leader of the Zodiacs, which are like the 12 strongest ones you can summon. And he's his previous key holder was kind of a jerk and did all this stuff and ended up causing him to get her killed pretty much. He was abusing one of the other spirits. I think it was Ares, and so he pretty much like summoned himself and prevented her from summoning anyone else, and it led to her death because she had to take a mission to make some money. And so he became afraid of other celestial spirit, was it which is but when Lucy steps up and uh demands that he be saved and all that, you feel for him, and then he develops a nice relationship with Lucy. He doesn't lose all of the perverted stuff, but he's never overly perverted like a lot of characters are. He's more like, well, hey, beautiful kind of thing.
I don't know how I feel about you just saying that just now. I know you were pretending to be somebody else, but I don't know how to process that. Regardless, I feel like you also said that you don't like this character as much as everybody else does.
Probably not as much. I've grown to like him more than I did. At one point, I thought he's just kind of the same. It's just now he's only focusing on Lucy, but then I realized she's literally saved his life. I mean, he was going to fade out of completely out of existence because he had been banished because he got his previous key holder killed, and now he's um like, but it's like he doesn't really flirt with every woman he sees anymore. It's like, okay, so he does change, and he's kind of dedicated himself to Lucy as like, I'm going to protect you because you've protected me kind of mindset is I think where it comes from more.
So let's see. Brock, Sanji, Zenitsu, Loki. I'm starting to notice a pattern with characters you like.
Zenitsu is definitely not my favorite. I like a Nosuke, the pig-headed guy, more.
I'm just saying, you've defended Zenitsu before, and all four of the characters I brought kind of have similar things when it comes to women or a certain type of woman.
At least most of those are all just dedicated to like one girl. At least after a certain point, they reach that point.
Yeah, but
Except for Brock, and then Brock just flirts with the same kind of girl.
yeah, but overall, I guess I can go. I know this character based on everything you told me, but even my friends who are fairy tale fans don't really talk about this guy, so I can still co-sign.
He has a few good episodes here and there, and uh, he's not a main character though. He shows up when he's needed.
All right, so my last character that I used to dislike, but now I like.
Yep.
All right, this is going to come off as kind of a shocker to some people because I know some people really don't like this character, and I get that. But I've grown to thoroughly enjoy her. I'm also realizing I have a lot of girls on this list, huh? And that character from Naruto is Tenten.
Okay.
Okay, her first fight against Tamari did not help because she got stomped. Her obsessing over Neji with his fight against Naruto really didn't help. In fact, maybe you could argue the whole series of Naruto and Shippuden and Boruto. You could argue none of that really helped. At the same time, though, I always kind of felt bad for her in some aspects of she has to deal with Lee and Guy all the time.
Especially now.
Yeah, we don't have to talk about that. But I don't know. I guess I just appreciate that deep down it's like, oh, she doesn't, because she does have a backstory in some senses. She wanted to become more of a medical based ninja, but her body just physically wasn't able to do it. So somebody said, why don't you just go with weapons, do that sort of thing. Not only that, but I just also appreciate how you could argue she does have a crush on Neji. You could argue that and it could make sense.
Mhm.
But at least, especially later in the series, it never felt like an obsession compared to some of the other females in Naruto. It just sort of felt like he's my friend. Maybe I like him. Maybe I don't. It never felt like it controlled her character or her actions as much, especially down the line. Not to mention, I love her philosophy of I'm a girl and I want to prove myself. At the same time, though, I'm not hating men or anything. It's just a matter of go all out. And I don't know. I like her that philosophy of her character. Wasn't ever it wasn't shown all that much, but at the same time, I did appreciate it.
Yeah, I wish she was used more. I'm for her, I've always just been kind of indifferent. Of all of the Konoha 13 or however many there are now in the total, uh she's the one that I'm the most indifferent. I don't like and I don't hate her.
Yeah, I can understand that.
It's just yeah, she just doesn't do anything for large portions of the story. I do like that she gets one of the longer dream sequences so you can see kind of like her perfect world would be like uh Guy and Lee are now fashion obsessed instead of workout obsessed.
Oh, goody.
So
Yeah, but
it's
then
just
again, sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah. I was just gonna say I do like though her backstory of wanting like she idolizes Tsunade and thinks that the only way to become a good Kunoichi would be to become a healer, and I mean you talked about it, the whole part of not being able to do it and stuff, but then we're discovering well I can become a strong Kunoichi, I just have to do it my own way.
Well, to be fair, in the all the filler arcs, I'm pretty sure she's undefeated because they show in the filler she's ridiculously strong. It's
Mhm.
just almost never important. Not to mention, did she ever interact with Tsunade in the main series?
um Maybe once, and it might be filler. I think it might be like she stops in to see Lee after the surgery or something and talks with Tsunade there like for like 5 seconds.
Yeah, it's not a good sign when the Rock Lee show gives her more to do in that aspect. Not to mention, there were several moments where there was an episode where she felt like she wasn't providing enough to her team, or I guess the show in general. And Tsunade gives her a pep talk, and she tries to repay it down the line because she kind of tells Tenten, "Hey, even if you're not the strongest, you still find ways of keeping your friends strong." And in a sense, that's kind of why I root for her. Like, I know if something bad happens to her, Lee, Neji, and everybody else would be upset about it. And then Lee and Neji find out the problem, except they don't. They think she has a crush on Orochimaru, and they try to get him to ask her out, and he says no.
This is why
Orochi,
I haven't watched the Rock Lee show.
because you're stupid. Yes, I understand that. You don't have good taste in this sort of thing. I understand.
God, but no, I can see where this kind of came from.
Yeah, yeah. Ten ten. Is she the most developed character? No. The most interesting? No. But I don't find her annoying anymore. If anything, I'm kind of like, I might be the same as her, especially with some of the crazy stuff that happens with her.
Yeah, it's just I can see where you are definitely coming from. It's just for me, I'm probably going to be indifferent unless she gets um, a really good story arc that it's like I know that they're doing like those light novels that take place between Shippuden and Boruto, or I guess they take place whenever in the series. So if she gets one that really develops her and makes something canon, maybe I'll develop either really liking her as a character or not. But
Well,
it's
she's a
just not.
female character in the Naruto franchise, so that's probably not happening. We just get more Sasuke manga because like that's what you guys ask for apparently.
Yeah, it keeps seeming to happen over and over again.
Yeah, but that's all I got. 10/10. She's better than I gave her credit for originally. Not by a lot, but I still find myself enjoying her.
Okay. So my last one.
Let's do it.
All right. So this one's one I don't think you may not, I don't think you've seen the series. It's very recent. Like I think the final episode came out like 2 or 3 weeks ago. And um I really enjoyed the series overall. And so it's from the series. I'm the villainess, so I'm taming the final boss. Specifically, the character I didn't like was Lilia Rhinos, who. So pretty much the whole premise of this series is um, so a woman from Japan realizes that she's been reincarnated into, I think it's called an Otome game, and as the villainess, of course. Um, and Lilia is the protagonist of the game. At first, I think it's just she's just there to be the kind of the antagonist for the villainous character. She's and that she's just gonna have the personality of that character. And it's like, okay, she's just this boring character at first because you think, oh, she's just following the prompts to get the good ending. That's what you kind of feel. But then towards the end of the kind of the first part where Aline, I think is how you say her name. Yeah, Aline Lalern Patrice, yeah, that's how it is. Um, discovers there's something dark about Lilia, and after this kind of second part of this season, you learn Lilia's also been reincarnated, and she's manipulating everything to try to win uh, the game herself in her mind, and it's becomes this kind of back and forth between them of who knows the game better, who's able to manipulate the world based on the game to reach that point. And you kind of see her strategy of, well, what about this part? So she, in the final part of the series, she starts manipulating like all the different love interests from the games in order to get a second set of the powers and be able to defeat Aline and take over as retake over as kind of the protagonist of this world. So, as I said, because she's so boring at the first part, it's like, okay, you just kind of ignore her, think it's a one off. Then when you realize it, that her whole view is this is a game. I don't really care that uh, you think that these people are actually alive and we seem to be in the actual world. This is just a game. I'm going to do what I need to.
So how okay, all right. I guess I have to co-sign, but I guess my question is this like a new is this like the second season, first season?
It's only one season. It's 12 episodes long. I said I'm pretty sure it ended in the subbed. I think there's one episode left of the dubbed to finish. I was watching the dub and I finished up the sub because I just wanted to know what the story was.
And you said this is an isekai basically.
Kind of. It's not necessarily focused on like the normal. It's kind of I think I've talked about it before that time I was reincarnated as the villainess or something. Or the other one, but
That time I was reincarnated as a slime.
no, there's the other villainous show that
You once told me you were gonna take a break from isekai, and now you're jumbling them all together. I don't know what to tell you here.
as I said, I've watched too many, but this one just caught my interest because it was not the normal protagonist is overpowered. It was more of she's manipulating the stuff behind the scenes, which is what I thought I was going to get with the other show I was talking about, the other villainous show, which I didn't get with that one. This one, she's literally trying to manipulate everything to make sure she just survives again.
And you get on me for watching the Rock Lee show.
I really enjoyed this show, and as I said, I think this character was not necessarily the biggest twist, but it was nice seeing that, oh, there's more to her than just being the like someone following the prompts in a game.
And I guess I can co-sign because I haven't. I don't know a lot about this show to say whether I should give it a chance or not.
I think it would be a good one to give it a chance. It's especially now that it's pretty much finished.
Yeah, that would help. But I guess I can co-sign on to that.
All right.
Anything else, or is it time for us to wrap up?
I think it's time for us to wrap up.
Alright, so, ladies, gentlemen, and others, who are some characters in anime that you started off disliking, but then grew to love, or even dislike, or hate significantly less? Just let us know, and maybe we could do a reverse of this. Characters that we started off liking, but then just grew to, well, not like as much. I could do that list too.
It would take me a little while, but I think I can get that list done.
Yeah, a lot more people have been seemingly listening to the podcast based on info, and that's nice, but please continue to stick around. Let us know any other topics you want us to talk about. Hopefully it's something that we both know about, or just a general idea so we can each take stuff from a handful of different anime rather than just one specific topic, but just let us know. We appreciate the support.
Exactly.
Yeah, and be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and all that other nonsense, and stick with us through to the new year. And we will see you next time. This has been Alex.
And Richard.
And you have been listening to Anime Egotists. Good night, and peace easy.